Hey everybody, welcome to Coming in Hot, where we mostly talk about mindset theories and real practical ways you can improve your lifestyle, your relationships, your health, and yourself. And yes, I'm standing here holding up a blanket, blocking your view for a very, very, very special reason. Can you already tell I'm smiling? Like for real. I really need a drum roll. We're gonna have to start raising the bar around here. Maybe somebody can insert a drum roll for me. But if not, there's an imaginary drum roll and you're playing in your head right now, okay? So anyway, last week I was midway through a new set and was excited to come back this week and show you all the improvements, and oh so much has changed. So I hope that you like it as much as I do. So let's get this party started. Hello, welcome. Let me see if I can take my seat and not fall off. It's a little bouncy, it's a little squiggly. Squiggly? Chairs can't be squiggly. How about wiggly, wobbly? So anyway, I really hope you like my new set. I've actually had this sign for quite a while. I don't know if many of you noticed it from, I guess, all of the episodes, because it was kind of hid behind my big old noggin. So I used to have the camera right up in my face, and now I've got a little bit more space, and I definitely feel a lot more at home. This feels more like me. I am a very eclectic personality person, always have been. So all of this is kind of a collection of me all into one. And so anyway, this is me. And this is our new set. The new lighting, I hope that it's improved. You guys need to send me some comments about it. I really need some input about the lighting. So let me know if it's gotten any better. Your girl's wearing some more makeup today too. Y'all know, I've told y'all this, I don't wear makeup. I'm gonna go a little closer. Get closer. I'm trying not to look at myself in the monitor over there. I actually have on makeup. Thank you, Bestie, for helping me pick out new colors. Okay, let's get serious. Did y'all know I was that girly? Probably not. There's so much y'all don't know about me. But we are gonna get to know each other more and more and more as we continue to do this show. So I'm having a blast. I hope you guys are still having a good time. I hope you're learning some new things. I hope that they are impacting your life. I hope that you are building upon them and you are seeing change. Oh, goodness. So let's really just dive into it right now. So, okay, we're into a series right now. We started it last week, episode 11. So now we're in the second episode, which would be episode 12, of a series that is talking about honing in on, let's see, mind hacking, vibrational energy, so all kinds of good fun stuff. And we talked a lot last week about limiting beliefs and paradigms. And just to kind of reiterate a little bit of what we talked about last week, limiting beliefs are beliefs that are down in your subconscious that limit you and your potential. And then paradigms go hand in hand with those. Those are the behaviors that go along with those subconscious beliefs. And those right there are actually what rule basically all the decisions that you make for most of your life. So if you remember last week, we talked about the subconscious mind is the emotional mind. And we as human beings are emotional people. Everything that we do, or a lot of what we do, is from emotion. So, and that can sometimes be a good thing or sometimes be a bad thing. So last week we talked about, how these can play out in our lives, and how when you allow paradigms, negative paradigms and limiting beliefs systems into your life, and those are your mindset, about how you limit yourself, you cheat yourself. Let me rephrase. You cheat yourself into believing that you can't achieve all kinds of things that you are very capable of achieving. And so throughout this series, I want to break down those barriers with you guys, break down those walls, change your mindset a little bit, and kind of dig in there and help you unlimit yourself and break some of the chains that maybe you didn't even know were binding you and keeping you from striking out on a new adventure or living life to the fullest in whatever way that may be, because everyone's different, and different things make different people tick. Success is a word that is relative to different people. success is not always the same thing. Success to me does not mean that I have to make $1 million. You know, success to me right now is actually being centered and having not control of my life, because I don't believe that I have control of my life. I believe that I have control of the way that I'm reacting to situations, and there's been a lot of improvement on that, and that makes me really, really happy right now, because I feel really, really safe, and I feel really empowered. I feel inspired. I feel motivated. I am living life in a different way than I've ever lived before, with a different type of energy than I've ever had before. And so that's why we're talking about all this stuff. So anyway, let's see. Some of the limiting beliefs and things that we talked about last week is, you know, basically anything you believe about yourself is what you're going to play out. So if you grew up believing that you were not worthy of, let's say, making a 6-figure income, then most likely you will not take the actions that you need to take in order to reach that 6-figure income at any point in time in your life. Unless then you go in and you change that mindset and you really change that belief system, then you will be who you really truly believe you are. And so with mindset theories, we like to be able to go in there and tweak that and change that and improve that, because so many of us are so hard on ourselves. You know, we think that we know ourselves the best. You know, we know ourselves better than anybody. But do we understand and do we know that our limiting beliefs also create limiting standards? And we are the only ones that can control that. So learning how to gain control over that is where you're going to gain the power to make the changes that you need in order to move forward, and to crush all these limiting beliefs, and to take these paradigms and turn them around and make them work for you. So in this episode, we're going to learn some more about the limiting beliefs and paradigms, which you've kind of already talked about. We've pretty much went over that. We're going to talk more about what this does to us externally and also internally. We're going to answer the question, what is mind hacking? I don't know if any of you have been wondering about what I'm talking about when I say mind hacking, but we're going to talk about it today. And we're going to talk about how you can become a master of mind hacking. That is like the cornerstone of this show right here, is being able to learn how to control your mind. It has been the driving force that brought this show about. It has been the driving force that really kicked up my entrepreneurial journey. It is what has really opened up my personal life and really just helped me grow so many relationships that were really just broken and falling apart. It's helped me also let go of relationships that were toxic to me, that I did not recognize as toxic, things that I wanted to keep dragging with me as I wanted to keep pushing along and into these new mindsets and into this new growth. And so mind hacking is the way that you can go in. How do you go in? It's the way that, you go into your subconscious and you really change it. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and take a little break here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to get into what happens to the body physically and mentally when you are living a lifestyle that is ruled by negative paradigms and limiting beliefs. So anyway, stick around and we'll be back.
Hey, where all my geeks at? Because I got something new for you. The brilliant Jason McKay is the amazingly average geek, and he brings you all of the geek news, gaming, comics, and music. So you can check him out at astronetradio.com, the amazingly average geek, and you can also follow him on Facebook, Twitter, and find him on YouTube. Make sure you tell him that I sent you.
Hey guys, welcome back to Coming in Hot. We are talking mindset theories today, and we are discussing paradigms, limiting beliefs again, and we are talking today about mind hacking. And before we get into my favorite part, the mind hacking part, we are going to have to do our due diligence. And I think sometimes the best way to really get a good understanding of something is to have a visual aid. So I want to show you guys a video, and I would like for you to take a moment and really open up your mind for a minute. You know, we're talking about trying to let go of limiting beliefs and paradigms. And the fastest way to change a limiting belief is to recognize it as untrue. But the only way that you can recognize something as being untrue as to what you believe is to open up the possibility that you could be wrong. And I know that's very hard for a lot of you. It's been very hard for me. Trust me, right fighter over here. Always been a right fighter my whole life. I may have to do something about this little turn in here. So anyway, been a right fighter. So I definitely know how hard it is to have to look at yourself and go, okay, well, maybe I didn't know. Maybe I wasn't doing it the best way, or maybe what I was doing was not actually the most efficient way of doing things, or maybe I was just flat out wrong. So, you know, I would ask you before we watch the video and before we continue with the show to just be vulnerable and open to the idea that maybe some of these things that I'm talking about and some of the self-evaluation that you have to do, you know, that it is really worth it to gain a different perspective and maybe hack your own mind and see what you can achieve. So anyway, let's take a look really quick at a video from Ted Ed. It is on YouTube, and it is going to lay out for you very simply what happens to the body when you allow yourself to stay in a stressful state. You know, when you're not feeling fulfilled and you're not reaching the goals that you want to reach, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be because of stress. You have let something bother you to the point where you are not able to put your focus onto what it is that you say really matters to you. So I want to share with you guys what I have learned about what happens to the body when the mind is allowed to just kind of run rapid with anxiety and limiting beliefs and paradigms. So here we go.
Cramming for a test? Trying to get more done than you have time to do? Stress is a feeling we all experience when we are challenged or overwhelmed. But more than just an emotion, stress is a hardwired physical response that travels throughout your entire body. In the short term, stress can be advantageous, but when activated too often or too long, your primitive fight or flight stress response not only changes your brain, but also damages many of the other organs and cells throughout your body. Your adrenal gland releases the stress hormones cortisol, epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, and norepinephrine. As these hormones travel through your bloodstream, they easily reach your blood vessels and heart. Adrenaline causes your heart to beat faster and raises your blood pressure, over time causing hypertension. Cortisol can also cause the endothelium, or inner lining of blood vessels, to not function normally. Scientists now know that this is an early step in triggering the process of atherosclerosis, or cholesterol plaque buildup in your arteries. Together, these changes increase your chances of a heart attack or stroke. When your brain senses stress, it activates your autonomic nervous system. Through this network of nerve connections, your big brain communicates stress to your enteric or intestinal nervous system. Besides causing butterflies in your stomach, this brain-gut connection can disturb the natural rhythmic contractions that move food through your gut, leading to irritable bowel syndrome, and can increase your gut's sensitivity to acid, making you more likely to feel heartburn. Via the gut's nervous system, stress can also change the composition and function of your gut bacteria, which may affect your digestive and overall health. Speaking of digestion, does chronic stress affect your waistline? Well, yes. Cortisol can increase your appetite. It tells your body to replenish your energy stores with energy-dense foods and carbs, causing you to crave comfort foods. High levels of cortisol can also cause you to put on those extra calories as visceral or deep belly fat. This type of fat doesn't just make it harder to button your pants. It is an organ that actively releases hormones and immune system chemicals called cytokines that can increase your risk of developing chronic diseases, such as heart disease and insulin resistance. Meanwhile, stress hormones affect immune cells in a variety of ways. Initially, they help prepare to fight invaders and heal after injury, but chronic stress can dampen the function of some immune cells, make you more susceptible to infections, and slow the rate you heal. Want to live a long life? You may have to curb your chronic stress. That's because it has even been associated with shortened telomeres, the shoelace tip ends of chromosomes that measure a cell's age. Telomeres cap chromosomes to allow DNA to get copied every time a cell divides without damaging the cell's genetic code. And they shorten with each cell division. When telomeres become too short, a cell can no longer divide, and it dies. As if all that weren't enough, chronic stress has even more ways it can sabotage your health, including acne, hair loss, sexual dysfunction, headaches, muscle tension, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, and irritability. So, what does all this mean for you? Your life will always be filled with stressful situations, but what matters to your brain and entire body is how you respond to that stress. If you can view those situations as challenges you can control and master, rather than as threats that are insurmountable, you will perform better in the short run and stay healthy in the long run.
Okay, so I read a comment on that video when I first found it, and somebody said it stressed me out just watching that video. And I hope that you don't let it stress you out, because honestly, it shouldn't stress you out. We are here for education. So it is a learning tool. It's not an attack. Let's talk about some of the stuff that it said in there that really stuck out to me. It says that chronic stress is hardwired into, I don't know if you caught this or not, it said it was hardwired into your brain, but they're talking about the subconscious brain. So remember, that's your emotional brain, and that's where all of your actions actually stem from, is the subconscious belief system. So I know that you heard that when these hormones are released during chronic stress, that it actually changes the brain. It not only changes the brain, it can attack the organs of the body. It can leave them damaged, the heart. It can cause IBS. It can cause things like heartburn. There's an increase for chronic disease when you deal with chronic stress, when you decide to accept chronic stress. And you can get mad all you want when I say accept chronic stress, but I'm telling you right now, you are accepting it. If you're living it, then you're accepting it. So there's so many terrible things about living with chronic stress and worry. It leads to disease. And these are not questions, guys. These are not, of course, it's all possibilities. God has control of your health and everything. But we have to make decisions in order to keep ourselves healthy and optimal. And, chronic stress is kind of the enemy. And having said all of that, like I said, you can be mad all you want. You can disagree all you want. I'm going to go ahead and tell you some of my story and how I have come to this same belief system. So let's see, let me go back. I have actually, let me start here actually. I was listening to at the very end of the video, all of the list of all of the different types of outcomes that you can have when dealing with chronic stress. And before I tell my story, I want to ask you, how many of these do you experience or have you experienced? Probably even in clusters, if you're really honest about yourself. So just in case you forgot, I'm going to remind you. Chronic stress leads to acne, hair loss, sexual dysfunction, aches and muscle tension, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, and irritability. I don't know about you, but I suffer from a lot of those. And, back to my story, having said all of that and suffered from those things, I know that when I was a young girl in elementary school, I used to go to the cafeteria, not to the cafeteria. I used to go to the nurses station almost every morning. This happened, I don't know if it was for a year. I'd have to ask my mom if I did it more than 1 year or what, but I can remember going into the office and telling him I didn't feel well, and I would always think that I was going to throw up. I was always just feeling that I was just sick to my stomach. And they would check my temperature, and they were so sweet to me. They always checked my temperature, told me I wasn't running fever, and sent me on about my way, gave me a drink of water. And then fast forward, I started developing headaches and migraines probably, it was after I had about 16, 17, and I had a couple of car accidents. So those probably had a lot to do with that as well. But started experiencing those around 17, 18 years old. And then I've told you guys that I was married for, almost 10 years with 2 children, 2 beautiful children. And now my ex-husband and I are developing a healthy relationship, but it was very toxic for a very, very long time. It was a very damaging relationship. And so I went through a lot of stress. And neither one of my sides of the family really handle stress very well. They handle it very differently. One side of the family is more external, which is kind of where I get this bipolar personality. Woo! So some of us over here, we're very extroverted, and we are out there and we're going to tell you how we feel. And then on the flip side, the other side of my family, and then the other side, it's more of internalizing the stress. And so I have not had good coping skills to deal with stress my whole entire life. Now, I was not really aware of this. I just thought that everyone told me I was just a warrior, and I was just getting through it and all this kind of stuff. But truth be told, I was really crumbling and falling apart. And it was very apparent it was happening. I just don't think that sometimes people know what to do to help you. So anyway, I've been dealing with all this stress now. I'm now, 28, 29 years old, almost 30, 2 kids, moved home, still not dealing well with stress. I decided to go to school, and I'm going to become a nurse, and I am so super excited about my future. I got my associate's degree. I fought through it so hard, even pregnant, fought through school. And at that point in time, I was starting to develop a lot of health issues. The years and years and years and years of not dealing with the chronic stress in a healthy way had manifested itself into all kinds of internal health issues. So I ended up dropping out of school and being on upwards of a dozen medications. Most of them were prescription. There were a few that were over the counter that I was prescribed to take. But anyway, and that morphed into an addiction to painkillers. And that was one of the most devastating things for me to accept, was that, and no one else acknowledged it. If they did, they did not acknowledge it. But when I got to the point where I acknowledged it to myself, it was quite shocking to me. Like, how did I get to this point? And even then, I did not know how I'd gotten to that point. So that being said, I was in a position where, praise God, I was able to just say, you know what, I'm done with this. And I made a mental shift, and I quit taking the pills. So that later on led me into coming off all of my medications. And then here I am dealing with chronic fatigue and pain again. And a lot of the things that were listed on this paper, they didn't go away while I was being medicated at all. In fact, some of these symptoms actually got worse being medicated. And I went with that and fought that battle for over 2 years. So once I finally had gotten all that stuff out of my system, and I still wasn't feeling the way I really, really wanted to. I mean, I felt improvement, but I still didn't feel really, really the way I wanted to. I started to to realize that maybe it was more in my mind than I had thought before. Maybe I needed to work on how I'd gotten to the place where I'd gotten to. And so that led me into I went into natural medicines in order to combat the physical pain and stuff. But in order to be able to push through all the mental stuff that I had been through, because I wasn't only on medications to treat physical chronic pain, I at this point was dealing with mental illness. And so now I am trying to not only navigate going from having a brain that is really craving and wanting these types of medications that I know are destroying my body, to now I need to figure out how to rewire my brain and teach it something different, because I've now done all of the physical things that should alleviate all of these problems, but it hasn't totally went away. And so, I'm kind of going off maybe in the left field a little bit, but people don't really realize how much your mind and your mindset is the only way you're going to change or get from point A to point B. Is you have to have the right mindset. And had I not had that mindset to know that I could get off of that stuff and I could stay off of it and I could actually live a happy life, I would have never actually tried it. And I'm so grateful for that mindset. So anyway, I went off on a total tangent. I think y'all are going to have to cut all this stuff out too. I don't know what I was going with that. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah, that's really long. So we're going to have to cut any of that. So anyway, so we're going to go to a commercial break. You guys just shove this in there wherever you need to, because I know I was a little long-winded. We'll be back for the last segment, guys, here in a few minutes, where we're going to talk about my favorite part, the mind hacking. So see you in a few.
Coming up July 10th through the 12th in downtown Mineola, Texas, the first annual Century Cinema Film Festival, celebrating the 100th year of operation for the historic Select Theater in Mineola and produced in conjunction with Tours of Tyler. 36 hours of classic films, from film noir to The Blob to Fred and Ginger, Grant and Hepburn, even Roy Rogers. 12 movies in 3 days. There'll be vendors, cartoons, newsreels, surprises of all kinds, and our special guest on Saturday, Brad Mall, the famous Dr. Tony Jones from General Hospital. Check us out on Facebook at Century Cinema Film Festival, or look us up on toursoftyler.com, or just call the theater at 903-569-2300.
Hey guys, welcome back. So hopefully I didn't lose you guys with that long-winded story of mine, but it's the truth. After many years of going through a lot of stressful situations and not having the right coping skills to handle it, I finally just hit a brick wall and I broke physically and mentally, and it all manifested in chronic disease. So anyway, as you can see, I have recovered a lot of that, if not all, to mind hacking. Some of this I was doing and did not know I was doing it. But anyway, so the mind hacking part. Okay, mind hacking. What is mind hacking? Mind hacking is the process of rewiring the brain. And it's much like a hacker would go in and rewire a computer and then be able to control it. Mind hacking is the same way. So if you take limited beliefs and paradigms and you decide that you want to mind hack those belief systems and those behavior patterns, then guess what? You can rewire your brain. A lot of people don't understand this. They do not understand this at all. Anxiety and a lot of things of similar nature, a lot of them are learned behavior. And throughout time and process of adding in new behaviors and really changing your mindset and hacking into that mindset and changing those paradigms, you can make leaps and bounds and differences in ways that you just never even dreamed of, ways that you limited yourself and you limited even your mind. You will be shocked at how much of that you can actually change. And you can change it in a short period of time. It really depends on how much focus you put in to whatever it is you're trying to change. So anyway, back to the mind hacking kind of definition or whatever. It consists of behavioral changes. You have to have consistent behavioral changes, and you have to have consistent, purposeful, not just actions, but what am I trying to say? New thought patterns. You have to replace your old thought patterns. You need to have affirmations of new thought patterns around you at all times. So the key to changing any behavior that is limiting to you, and this can be limiting to you in a relationship, this could be limiting to you in business, it could be limiting you in with your children. Let's get like really technical. Relationship with one of your children. My oldest child, we have really, I mean, she is my mirror. So we have really been through it. And a lot of the stuff that I've learned through learning how to rewire my brain has helped me mend and repair the relationship with her. So let's see. We change our brain patterns by learning how to respond differently to stressful situations. Understanding how our minds work is the key to unlocking your potential. If you limit yourself to any belief that you can't, understanding how our minds work is the key to unlocking our potential that allows us to achieve anything that we want to achieve. We talked about in the last show, and I talk about it all the time, that we live in a thought world. So whatever you perceive is your reality. Any experience that we have, we give the meaning to that experience. So it can be positive or it can be negative. And that also plays into the way we handle stressful situations. Last week we talked about a powerful state and a primal state. When you're operating from a powerful state, which is what you want to be operating from, high energy, vibrational energy, you want to feel joy, and you're excited, and you're curious, but you're calm, you're peaceful, and you're passionate. When you're operating from a primal state, which is where anxiety and stress lives, then we're operating from a place of boredom and anger and frustration, fear, and definitely pain. So we want to get out of. We don't want to be in survival mode all the time. When you live in survival mode, you end up with the repercussions that I ended up with physical manifestations and mental, mental issues with moving forward when you don't learn to just adapt to new coping skills. So it's very difficult to be able to change anything from that primal state. In fact, I think that it's nearly impossible. I don't think you can change anything from a primal state like that, or at least I've not experienced it in that way. I think that you have to have a mindset change first before you can do anything to further yourself along in your journey. You're going to have a mindset change. I don't think you can do it from a primal place and be successful at it. You might can achieve that place, but you're not going to find the success that you're looking for, and we're not going to find the peace that we're looking for. Oh my God, and small changes make huge impact. People frown upon small changes, and I don't understand why. Because sometimes when you're in a position like I was in, where you've actually already had a mental breakdown, you have to actually build up those muscles again. And it needs to be consistent. I think that's where people want to go wrong. They want to go really hard, and they want to achieve it, and they want to say that they got it, but they don't want to actually do the work that it takes to get there. And long-term work, what is the word I'm looking for? Not long-term work, consistency is what you're looking for more than great leaps and bounds. If you are more consistent, that will open the door and create the jumps of leaps and bounds, that you actually really are seeking the ones that you feel like are going to get you to your end goal. So setting small goals and building your way up to them and adding on a little bit more, pressure each time, that's fabulous. That's how you build those muscles. That's how you build the muscles to make the changes that you want to make in order to achieve the goals that you're looking to make. So, you want to shift yourself out of that survival mode. Whatever you focus on, you will feel it. So, like, for example, if, I don't know if this is happening to me, I heard this example on a video, so I'm going to use the same example because I think that it's fantastic. I know that this has happened to me. Have you ever thought ahead of a scenario, something bad that could happen? Okay. To the point of that you're able to actually feel that fear. You felt it inside your body. And then when that time came and that thing was supposed to happen and it didn't happen, what you just put your body through was a whole, you just sent your body through everything we just heard about in that video in the last segment. All those hormones were released, all of that rushing through the blood vessels into your heart, and all of the gut and brain connectivity disruption and all that happens when you live in a primal state where you are able to come up with scenarios like that in the future, and you allow yourself to feel those negative feelings. You are actually living in a primal state. So, and that's anxiety driven. You cannot control whether that's going to happen or not. What you can control is how you're going to react to that situation if it happens. So preparedness is better than worrying, guys. Let's see, when it comes to breaking habits, there is no such thing as breaking habits, in my opinion. I believe that the only way to break a habit is to replace a habit. So, and it usually takes about 21 days is what the research says and the professionals say. And I would say that that's probably, pretty true. Especially if you haven't completely made that mind shift, if you haven't completely broken down that paradigm in your brain yet, then it's going to take you a little bit longer, But 21 days minimum is what they say it takes to make a good habit stick. One of the hardest things to do is to break a habit, and that's something we're going to get into in a whole nother show at some point. Is we're going to start talking about willpower and how willpower can be beneficial, or actually is it beneficial, and if so, at what capacity is it beneficial? So, but yeah, there is no such thing as breaking a bad habit. So when you are trying to tap into mind hacking and you want to achieve a new goal, the fastest way to get there is to figure out all the things that you are or are not doing to further you towards that goal. And that comes all up in here. So that's what mind hacking is about. And it is, like I said, one of my favorite topics ever. I continue to work on this every single day. It is my passion. And I believe that it is transforming lives everywhere. It's transforming yours. Go and seek more. Go look up more information about mind hacking. If you really want to achieve a new level of success in your life, then right up here is where it's going to start. It's not going to start with you just trying to replace a good habit with a bad habit. You're going to have to start with your mind, So anyway, mind hacking is fun, and we're going to do more of it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, because I thoroughly did. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed my new set. Y'all, see, I can't do nothing right. I just can't. Okay, I'm going to go on that note. All right, guys, I will see you next week. You guys have a good one.
What's up, everyone? Hope you all enjoyed the show tonight. I personally want to thank each and every one of you that follow Audra and her episodes coming in hot. By doing this show, it has allowed her heart and her mind to be open up to the different perspectives and different ways that people have risen above the struggles that life has put in front of them. And I hope that by her and her guests sharing their struggles and their victories, it helps you rise up to a new mindset.